Hello everybody, my name is Deku, and welcome back to MILGRAM. It has been 2 months since the last video. The last video did very well, but it also got a lot of dislikes because we're approaching the end and now it's getting even more controversial. But here, we are here for Moo. I just want to start by saying, be careful in the comments, please. And I'm not saying that to the people reading, I'm saying that to the people that don't think before they say shit. I don't know as much about MILGRAM as you do, alright? I don't know or have read the novels or the comics or other things like that, right? This is not a MILGRAM channel. This is not a channel dedicated solely to analyzing it. But I watch all of the available stuff for the current project that is releasing. I don't think I would need to go read supplementary stuff whenever the main thing should hopefully explain things to me. But that being said, it's one of those things where I don't really know, I still don't understand what happens after they get voted guilty. Is it, like, do they fucking die, or is it just more restrictions, right? Because I don't know, because it's one of those things where it's like, oh, well, do they get to death penalty, or, I don't know. Because there are some where I'm like, yeah, guilty, absolutely, kill that motherfucker. But then there's others where it's like, well, yeah, guilty, but the whole point is to teach them and see if you forgive them or not, right? And if you don't, that's the whole point. So there's a lot going on. So yes, let's get started with Killer B. Naruto mention. Why is this blurred out? What'd they do? What'd they do? What'd they do? What'd they do? Who did they diddy?
Moo, 入るぞ。
God, I miss doing this. 2 months, whenever I used to do it like daily and like weekly sometimes, sitting here reading this. Ugh.
懐かしいな。最初もお前は泣いていた。いつまで泣いている。囚人番号4番ム。
Called her a prisoner this time. MILGRAM is so fucked up putting that shit on a 16-year-old.
看守さん、よく顔を出せたね。どういう意味だ。嘘つきの看守さんは。
You did it of your own volition, girl. Everything that's happened to you is because of stuff that you already decided to do. Oh my god, I just had an idea. Are we going to have to, at the very end of MILGRAM, are we going to have to vote S, Ino, or guilty? Oh. I kind of hope so. Because, honestly, because it's one of those things like, do you forgive them? Are they guilty? Yes, they are. They are a part of a system, right? Even if they were forced into it, they are still a part of it. They are still a cog in that machine, right? And given the fact that at every opportunity they didn't just be like, yeah, okay, I'm done, right? Not only does it show the coercion and the malice of that system, but also the fact that it can be very hard, but that doesn't remove you of guilt, or also does it say that you are fully to blame, right? But do I forgive them? Yeah.
確かに僕はお前を許した。だったらなんで？何度も言ったようにミルグラムは三神性。
Yes, please explain it to me. Please, explain it to me one more time.
第二審での判断でお前を許さなかっただけだ。
Okay, so that means now there is going to be another set of voting. All right, okay.
何も矛盾はしてない。許すって言ったのに、看守さんはムーを許すって言ったのに、言ってることコロコロ変わって最低。お前からしたらそう思うのも無理はない。ひどいよ。ずっとムーを責める声が聞こえる。
When a teenager is like this, they are this bad, right? In an ideal society, or even just a functioning society that doesn't, want to fucking put kids to death, and other things like that, because there's plenty of kids that were innocent, or even that they did bad things, but they weren't fucking, like, horrible little fucking shitheads, right? They weren't like Amine. They were just kids, right? I mean, look at the number of black boys who have been executed by the United States of America countless times without due process, or with a veneer of due process, but their trials are sped up and other things like that, and they're executed. And I think in an ideal society, what you do with somebody like Moo is you just kind of let them be. But what I mean by that is that kind of just like, if you have a good society, good infrastructure, right? Low crime or no crime, virtual no crime, right? And your basic needs are met, all this other stuff, there's strong community. Even if that doesn't change her, right? Because, she's just so stuck in her ways. It's one of those things where, well, you either change or you don't, but you didn't, so you're kind of left on your own, right? Because you're stripped of community. You're stripped of social relations and other relationships and other things like that, right? And I think that's fair, right? Because it doesn't really like hurt them in a way that is permanent or anything like that. Like if people tell them, hey, you're being a fucking bitch right now, you gotta stop being this way. If you don't change yourself or even try, you're just wasting people's times.
もう悪くないのに、みんなでムーをいじめる。いつもそう。
And it's one of those things where, like, over time, if she lashes out again and kills somebody or hurts somebody, then you gotta do something, like incarceration or otherwise, right? Like, maybe psych facility or, like a holding place so that they don't hurt themselves or others, but they're still able to be taken care of with dignity and other things like that. Depending on, like, mental acuity, but, like, dude, sometimes, fuck it. Right into the fucking loony bin.
いつもムーがみんなに何かした？ひどいことした？してないのになんでそんなひどいこと言えるの？はるかくんが死んじゃったのだってムーのせいじゃない。ムーのせいにしないで。
Okay, that one I will say that, like, that isn't her fault. Right? Like, that was entirely on him. But there is a codependency between them, a toxic codependency between them. So I can understand why. But slams table. But the reason why I don't know if I've made this obvious or not, right? The reason why I don't forgive Moo is because it's her personality, and the fact that that personality led her to kill a fellow student, right? Even though we started finding out that it wasn't bullying like she thought it was, or things like that, she was the bully, and the moment that her ego is questioned, she brutally murdered another teenage girl. That's unforgivable. And it would be different if, like, she tried, or if, like, there was some sort of circumstance at home where they tried therapy and other things. But then again, this is one of those things where, like, that's the conditions she lived in. Her parents weren't very, like, around and caring and all things like that. We know that with her dad. And then, like, the Q&As that were done. But the whole not facing anything, but then immediately going to MILGRAM, I think it might have even hurt them. But I'm going to be under the assumption that within MILGRAM, there was enough time given to them before they entered the prison to like possibly reprimand within like a logical, consistent like time frame, or that would make sense for them as people. Like, hey, this person would probably need like 6, 7, 2 years, right? And then that happens, and a lot of things like that. But who knows? If MILGRAM isn't entirely the fairest of places. But yeah, I that's why I find her guilty, and I just can't forgive her. And like, yes, I understand that she's 16 years old, but there comes a point where, regardless of age, something that you do, and you do it for, you knowingly and willfully do it, right? And you understand. I know people might say like, well, Moo doesn't understand. She does understand what she did. She just doesn't think that it was wrong. That there's that layer there that's like, okay, there's nothing else we can do with you. Like, therapy is not going to work. We can try a bunch of antipsychotics and other things, but then you're just going to become a zombie, right? That doesn't stop anything. That's just a band-aid so that you don't be a burden to other people around you. I think it's her fault, quote unquote, in the fact that it's like it like technically it's related to her, but it wasn't through her actions directed towards Haruka. Well, there is that too, you know, the codependency, but it wasn't like one of those things of like willfully doing it, or like pushing him to do it, or things like that. That was something that he did himself, and that we can't forget that, like, that's part of his agency. That's part of the thing that he chose to do himself. So yes, related, but the cause of it. But then again, also Haruka started starving himself like before that, right? Or am I misinterpreting that? I'm not going to say that as a fact or not, but it did seem like even before Moo was voted guilty and was put into the restraints and everything like that, and her movement was restricted, that she tried to get Haruka to eat, but she never did. Or he never ate, even though she tried to get him to, because he was already starving himself. Because I think the thing with MILGRAM is that MILGRAM won't kill them. Somebody's going to be like, well, the books, the manga, oh, well, the author said. But presented of what we've seen, my current theory is that MILGRAM only causes conditions for them to die. It doesn't do it themselves, right? They're not put into an electric chair. They just form the conditions. That's still murder, but it's one of those things where usually it's themselves taking each other out, right?
来る意味がわかんない。だって事実だもん。なんでムーを許さなかったの？
Unforgive.
はるかくんが死ぬのに。
僕は看守。少なくとも前はそう思っていたから。だからお前の罪に純粋に向き合った結果だ。はるかが何と言おうと。
それってはるかくんの命より大事。とてもいいじゃん。
それは論点をずらして。
This line was interpreted and not properly translated. Sorry for any mistakes.
だけだ。
どうなるか分かってたんでしょ。
僕だってこんなことになるとは。
知らない。全部言い訳じゃん。あ、
それは。
Throws barbed wire.
が全部悪いの？はるかくんが死んだのも全部？看守さんが全部決めてるんでしょ。人のせいにしないで。
僕もできることはやったつもりだ。
全部やった。はるかくんが大事ならどんな手を使ってでも助ければよかったじゃん。
Yeah, she does have a point there, because that's one of the things with the movie that I always found really interesting, is that she really gets like the point of things, but then herself doesn't get close to the point in like realization. Like, hello, ring ring, the call is coming from inside the house.
それができるの看守さんだけなんでしょ。わかんないけど。 いろんな人に呼びかけたりすればいいじゃん。ムーだけ責めるのおかしい。
そうかもしれないな。
Because, I mean, yeah, if we're going to look at this as a whole, right? Yes, S made that decision. That led to Haruka's death. Moo herself was in a relationship with Haruka, right? And that led him to making the decision he made as well. But it's also upon Haruka himself. I'm so close to saying Hikaru every single fucking time I say either of those fucking twinks' names. I almost say the other word, the other name. But yeah, that's because to say that it was only either their faults is removing the agency and the determination and the decision that Haruka made himself.
はるかくんに会いたい。看守さんのせいで死んじゃった。
I'm always curious why whenever they say Kanshu-san or warden, right, or prison guard or anything like that, they don't translate it in that sentence. I mean, I know that sometimes there's identifiers that aren't directly translated in Japanese, but I don't get why not.
友達だったのになんでこんなことになっちゃったんだろう。
そうか。そうだよな。
何か。
はるかが死んで悲しいのもお前の本心だよな。
んなの当たり前でしょ。
お前の話を聞くよ。
聞いてなかったの今まで。
僕はお前を人殺しだと知っているから、いつだって物事の裏側を考えていた。はるかのことだってそうだ。愛情を求めていたはるかをお前が利用していると、そう考える気持ちがあった。
ひどい。
そうだな。
もうはるかくんに優しくして。
I mean, yeah, I do think that I think I've said this before, that I think that did like Haruka, not Hikaru, Yoshi, Haruka instead of Hikaru, that she did actually like him, right? She did want to take care of him and other things like that. But while not malicious or purposefully toxic, just given the way that Moo's personality is, it was pretty exploitive. At least in a way that was kind of detrimental to both of them.
だけだよ。
そうか。
優しくしたらすごく喜んでくれるから、嬉しくなって優しくしただけ。
そうか。
いつもさ、ムーはよくわかんない。ムーはムーがしたいように生きてるだけなのに、周りかなんか変わっちゃう。
人を殺した時もそうだったのか。
そんな気がする。ムーの周りに人が集まって。
Yeah, I mean, yeah, people were probably acting fake around here, trying to use her herself, or themselves, that allows them to have access to, like, her money and fame and other things like that. But it's also Moo herself was surrounded by these guys. And she clearly saw herself based on, you know, the last music video for her. Because remember, it was said that all of the singing your sins, it's how they remember it and how they viewed it, but then interpreted through visuals. So Moo thought of herself as a queen bee. She thought of herself as somebody that was above other people.
すごく楽しかった。
そうか。
でも変わっちゃった。いじめられるようになった。ムーの何がいけなかったの
She's just
か
so
教えて
naive.
くれない。
Like, just ignorantly naive to, like, a
ムーは
extremely
友達だから優
dangerous
しくした
extent.
だけ。そしたらなんか変なことになっちゃった。ただ仲良くしたかっただけなのに。
Him
ただ仲良く。
with Haruka?
優しくしたら喜んでくれるから、何かあげたら喜んでくれるし。
So then that means that there is still that naivety, and that, yeah, in a way, Haruka was using her because he knew he was more aware of the fact than her naivety was. But just based on her personality and that dangerous naivety, there was still, like, this imbalance between them.
はるかがお前に何を求めていたか分かっていたか。分かろうとしたか。
よくわかんない。
人と一緒にいるには求められるものを与えるだけじゃダメなんだよ、きっと。相手が何を考え。
Yeah, like, relationships, friendships aren't meant to be conditional, right? I get something out of it, you get something out of it, in the regards of like, oh, you do this for me. It's much more nuanced than that. It's always that like, we like each other, we give each other company. Oh, that was some good steak. Apple juice.
考えているか考えなきゃいけない。
わかんないよ。
I thought she said fuck.
そんなの誰も教えてくれなかったじゃん。
そうか。そうだったんだな。お前もはるかも。
どういう意味？
お前に教えてくれる人が誰もいなかったんだな。お前もはるかと一緒だ。どこまでも身勝手に見える。でもそう生まれただけなんだな。誰も向き合ってくれなかった。それが恵まれていたか恵まれていなかったかの違いです。
Yeah, that is true too. Like, that's the other thing is like, sometimes even if their personality is selfish, it can be kind of refocused to be helping other people properly. Right? Because like that's one of the reasons why I feel like Amine is so tragic, right? Like, she is a literal 1 in 100 billion of like a kid who there's nothing you could do, like kind of evil incarnate sort of thing, right? And then Moo, it's one of those things like where, yeah, that's just how they were, and it's really complicated on how you fix that, and if you even could fix it. But I wouldn't say she's fucking evil like Amine or something like that, right? I would say that she's done bad shit, but it's not all so like black and white and shit, right? So yeah.
しかない。違うんだ。きっと誰だってそうなる可能性がある。向き合うよ。お前と。
何言ってるのかわからないけど。
Grabs her.
何？
僕は改めて思うんだ。人を殺してはいけない。
Really?
知ってるよそんなの。でも、もう悪くない。
でもじゃない。
でもなの。
僕たちは。
Guys, leave down in the comments, is murder bad? And I want to say this, right? I've said this throughout this entire thing, right? It's all about what it does, how it's done, how it affects people, the reasoning behind it that makes it matter, right? Because if you just say, oh, well, it's all bad, you are either just being willfully ignorant, or you're not properly learned enough, or haven't been able to see that, like, sometimes, yeah, a death of a person, fuck, even 100,000 deaths, if it guarantees the prosperity of millions and millions of people, billions of people, because that group of individuals was hurting that society, not in some fucking like genocide or anything like that, where it's like, well, we didn't like them and they were against us, and you know, we were just trying to like basically oppress them, but then they tried to like rise up against us, right? But like in a way like where like these are people, they're like, hey, you worked hard for the world that you live in now. Yeah, we see that, but we wanted it the old way. We want the old way where you were beneath our boots and everyone didn't have their basic needs met. Yeah, I think it's kind of justified that, like, yeah, if you get rid of them all, and it's to ensure that the people that were being fought for in the first place continue, yeah. But it's like it's one of those nuanced things where, like, but a single death of an innocent person that didn't do anything wrong at the hands of a state that did that too, that is wrong, because that person wasn't affecting the conditions around them, the society and their community, in a bad way, under the context that they are innocent, right? They're just living, they're just being, they're just a part of everything around them, living their own lives. So that is then infinitely worse, not just because of the single death that it causes that did not deserve it, but because of the fact that it then sends a message to so many innumerable more people about it, right? Like, this person that didn't have a cause, or, you know, wasn't trying to fuck us up, or, you know, all this other stuff that, like, that, wow, what the fuck? And you see this with, like, the United States. The United States thinks that whenever they kill 100,000 people, it's for good, right? But it's only for capital, right? They're not helping people. They're not. Every time they bombed a brown person in fucking Afghanistan and Iraq, and and like in the Gulf War, or Desert Storm, right? And the Gulf War, they all all it did was for oil. All it did was for land and, like, politics and, like, getting more infrastructure, and that, like, helped people inadvertently, right? But it was getting more money into the pockets of, like, the rich elite, the fucking vampire scum of the earth. And it kind of trickled down, or whatever the fuck. So, yeah. But then whenever a single person that is innocent dies under that system, it can then be like, oh, well, they were blah, 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 and people will fall for it. Unlike if a just society that happens, you end up realizing that, oh shit, that's really bad. Something really fucked up happened just now. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. I have, like, a bump in the top of my mouth. S. You saw. It might have been a justified reason, is watching two videos of one where she thinks she's being bullied, and then the next where it's actually realized that that person that she killed was actually being bullied by her, and she stood up for herself, and then Moo was like, I'm gonna kill you. Ah! Yeah, but you did. You picked up the knife and you did it. It wasn't just like, oh, man, sorry, my hand slipped. It was, you picked up the knife, and instead of maybe probably thinking to yourself, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this, you did it anyway. And, like, it's one of those things that it comes back to the fact that she wasn't learned and she wasn't taught anything. But you don't think that maybe, unless you've been living under a fucking rock, that maybe stabbing somebody, if it would hurt you, is going to hurt them, and maybe that's not a good decision? I don't know. I just don't agree with that. I just don't agree with that line of thought. Everyone has a reason to kill. Every time somebody is killed, there's a reason for it. Even people that do it for fucking fun, that's a reason. People that throw away lives like they're fucking nothing, that's still a reason. They're nothing to them. Because again, it comes down to that reason. Why it happened, who it happened to, what it says, what it causes, and other things along those lines. Does it help people? Is there other solutions to it? Are there other ways to go about it that can be preventable than death, right? Because fascists will kill indiscriminately. They will do whatever's in their power to keep the status quo. They will, like bigots too. You see this with, lynchings of the KKK and extremists and, all this other shit, right? They will try to excuse as many deaths as possible of innocent people, or try to fabricate something that justifies it, and then go along with it and commit it and continue to commit it, because that's the only way that they can solve a problem. But within MILGRAM, as we've discussed, is that there's nuances to where, like, yeah, guilty, but I don't think you need to die. Like, and then there's some cases where, like, yeah, I think that'd be the best scenario, right? And I know I'm talking in extremes, but it's primarily because of the fact that we are in a situation and talking about something where, like, yeah, you gotta acknowledge those extremes, right?
やだ。お前の殺した相手が誰かにとっての遥かかもしれない。
いじめられてつらかった。が我慢すればよかったの。わ
からない。
No. But again, this is showing that, like, she has the idea. In her mind, it wasn't, oh, we'll die. It was, like, in her mind, she thought about, like, oh, do I just endure it? What else there's other things. She's not a fucking moron, right? She's not, like, incompetent that she can't, like, make judgment calls, right? Regardless of her moral framework and her internal ethics and other things like that. Like, there is very clearly, like, evidence to support the fact that there was opportunities for her to, like, think about something else, but she thought that that wasn't enough, or that wasn't worth it, or whatever, right? Or that it was punishment for her.
無責任にどうすればよかったとは言えない。そうならないためにずっと前に何かができたんだと思う。
そんなのわかんない。
お前がいかにどんな罪を犯していようと、お前の苦しみは本物だ。僕はそれを理解しようと思う。
Was it real? I mean, depending on how you interpret it, that, like, yeah, she started as bullying, then she became a queen bee, but then the bully tried to snap back, and then she died?
どういう意味？難しいよ。
I hadn't even considered that.
辛かったな。人を殺したのは間違っている。殺してほしくなかった。でもそうなってしまったお前の気持ちを無視してはいけなかったんだと今の僕は思う。はるかを、お前の友人を殺したのは僕かもしれない。お前の言う通り、僕に何かできたのかもしれない。ごめん。
看守さん。
Yeah, you could have. Yeah, you could have done something. But also, that's not the whole thing, too. It's not... We can't just put aside the fact that some of these people did horrible things, and the context of what's going on is that, yeah, judge them, That's engaging with the narrative. That's what the narrative wants us to do. We're going to do that. We're going to judge to see if they were, if they can be forgiven or cannot be forgiven, innocent or guilty, and other things like that. And now Warden's son, but S now saying like, oh, you must have had your reasons. I could have done something. Yeah, you could have, but you're in an opportunity to see and hear it out, and you chose not to. There's not really much different now, except for the fact you're like, oh, people died. Yeah. People did die. Because it's a prison full of murderers, either malicious or accidental, or nuanced murderers. People are going to die. Like, these aren't just, like, all innocent people that are like, oh, we got brought here. It was so wrong. Oh, man, this sucks for us, right? Khonshu-san, we should break us out. Huh? Fuck no. That one over there killed a bunch of people, and is responsible for many murders here. This one stabbed somebody with a box cutter because they were so naive and they didn't think of anything else, and the first thought that they had was murder. Yet, even if in isolation, your first thought is never murder. That is caused by things around you in the environment that you grew up in, right? Whether you were taught things or not, it means that you were taught somehow and absorbed that, yeah, murder is a justifiable option whenever you're in school and teachers are around, and, you know, you can just, like, discuss it or other things along those lines. Right? Like, or fucking run away. Or shit, yeah, fight back, but don't fucking kill him. What? That's like, it's being like, alright, yeah, I really shoot off that fucking wild animal. Another person's like, yeah, well, I fucking obliterated it. Fucking point blank obliterated it. Incendiary. Slugs. I had that fucking ghost load in. Pile of mincemeat. Then I pissed on it. And then you're like, you know, like, okay, yeah, you could have, yeah, you killed it, but then you got really malicious with it. That says more about you than it does the fact that you're willing to use lethal force. I thought she did realize it.
ごめん。何もできなくて。
はるかくんの気持ち、何もわからなくてごめんなさい。まあ、バカだから、今もよくわかんない。
難しいんだ、人間は。
人を殺したのもごめんなさい。レイもごめんなさい。
That changes everything. Kind of was just kind of flipped there, huh? Kind of just like really a rug pull, like, oh, well, she actually apologized. Wow. Which is really interesting. Well, it's also one of those things like, well, yeah, it makes sense, right? Sometimes whenever whenever a person like is in extreme situations, they're properly able like to think about things, be like, oh, maybe I did do something wrong. I mean, I'm glad she apologized. I'm just now trying to think about like if it makes sense, right? If this is the proper build up, if this like makes sense for that to happen, right? Hmm.
感謝さん、感謝さんも、感謝さんも、はるかくんが死んで、まひるさんも、しとうさんも死んで辛いんだから。泣いたらいいよ。
I thought I said they both throw up. That was. I keep saying warden because that's what's on screen. Moo, facing moo, because that's a way that you can say a pronoun of another person.
気持ちに向き合えた気がする。
また感謝さん、難しいこと言う。ムーたちはどうなるの？悪いことしたから死刑？
わからない。でも何かできることをやってみる。
感謝さんはどうするの？
最後までミルグラムの監視は続けるよ。いつかお前に言われたことをずっと考えていたんだ。覚えてないだろ？監視さんの言う僕って誰と言われたんだ。今なら答えられる。僕は僕だ。僕の中にあるたくさんの意志とは考えが違うかもしれない。今だって思い
That could be interpreted as like, oh, their will of like a child, but then as warden, but then as a young person and other things like that. Or it can be interpreted like, oh, different people.
動かない僕を許せない人もいるかもしれない。でももう僕は自分の気持ちで動く。
よくわからないけど、そんなの簡単じゃない？ムーはずっとムーだよ。
それができない人だってたくさんいるんだよ。
変なの？
そこは見習うよ、ムーのこと。
うん、そうしていいよ。
さて、そろそろ終わりだ。
あ、カーシュさん。変な判断したら許さないからね。
ああ、任せてくれ。僕とみんなに。
カーシュさんを信じるよ。
クスのキム、お前の罪を歌え。
Son of a bitch. God damn it. Oh, because that was the requirement. I said, I was like, if she tries to change, if she says it, then I'll give her the opportunity to, right? And that was the whole thing with like the other ones, is that while they were in here, they were vehemently defending themselves. And I'm like, look, you're being given a chance. right? You are in MILGRAM. You are being judged right now. You have the opportunity to admit it, for like try to get forgiveness and then work to try and do something else, or you don't at all, right? But then you end up with people like Fuda, who's like, yeah, I did something bad, and then like went the complete opposite direction of like overcorrection and other things like that. And then you get obviously people like Haruka and then Yuno, right? So I honestly, it is a little weird. I will say that it is a little weird that it's like, okay, now trial 3, all right, pull the rug out, right? But I guess it also does make sense that like trial 3 would be like the one, because now this is like the final thing before the another one. All right, let's make our final decision here whenever we see Pain. Oh. Okay. Let's analyze that really quickly before we read this. Okay, so to start, the hourglass, another piece of like visual storytelling that we've seen throughout the entire thing. Time running out, being suffocated, all this other stuff. Pressure. It's very interesting the way that like Mu is dressed here, kind of like a gown or something. But this here is interesting. Is that Mu? Because we saw something similar to this where it was Mu before. So if I'm getting this correct, it seems like she attacked her. Which, obviously, she was the one that provoked it, if that's the case. Meaning she should be allowed to protect herself. then it seems like she's like taking joy in it. And she's like calling herself mean. But then again, remember, this is after the fact of where she wants to be forgiven and she said that she's sorry and other things like that. And the other thing that's complicated about this is that there is still that aspect of her personality, right? Because that's one of the big things, right? It wasn't the fact that she was, bullied and then didn't think like, oh, well, maybe I don't have to kill them, but then killed them anyway. It was that, oh, she was really high and mighty and other things, but then there's like this other complications to it and stuff. So yeah, it is kind of being proved that, yeah, she was the bully. But there is also the interpretation here that this was the bully, right? If we take that, right? If we take that as a fact that, yes, this girl was a bully, bullied Moo, and then Moo got kind of popular, right? Or people were using her and mooching off of her and other things like that. She got a big head. She had got an inflated ego and other things like that. Because that does change it, right? That's a different course of events. And then she tried to do something again, and now she's like rubbing in her face. Like she's like, see, look how it feels. This is how it feels, right? Remember how you did this to me? Your I'm sorry won't reach anyone. But is this talking about her saying I'm sorry to her, or her saying, And this was the big thing I was not expecting. I did not expect her to fucking hit her with a WWE, and like it was an actual genuine fight. And like this girl Ray was just like absolutely beating in onto Moo. And then the symbolic of the time coming up and everything like that. It's so self-centered. It seems like she's like really, like the lyrics tell me that she is like, I'm starting to feel that maybe these lyrics aren't supposed to be taken literally, but this is kind of like what she's trying to say and explain of how it was for her, right? Right, because she like trips and falls, being treated as an object, other things like that. Doing great today and everything. And then obviously the visuals say otherwise. Worker bees. Educated you enough. She was left there, and it definitely seems like it wasn't a defensive thing, it was a retaliation. It was like a vengeance thing where she got attacked and then she was like, all right, yep, let's go do it. Which then obviously kind of goes against her story where she was like, I didn't mean to. She crushes the hourglass. Also, I really enjoyed how, like, yeah, right here it becomes blue, and now it's like, that baby, talking about Haruka, like, because she took care of him, and it's talking about how she doesn't really care, she will become the villain, but at the same time, does that really make sense? Or is this like what she was thinking of before, or is this like a previous statement that she's made, which now like informs us of why she acted the way she did in MILGRAM, despite the fact that it's basically been implied that that's just how she was. It wasn't like a trick or anything. It wasn't her like accepting it. It was just like she was kind of dumb. But also obviously, she's had agency to make decisions and other things like that. Or I'll take on the role of the villain is I'll accept what I did. Not that I will continue to do bad, but I'll accept the fact that I did something wrong. Because you're the one who killed him. I judge you as guilty. Yeah, it's still pretty, literally, it's blue because, like, her feelings for Haruka is what's moving her forward from here on out. Oh, man. Fine. Alright. Born in 2001 in the Minato ward. Hey, me too. Kusunoki was born to a Japanese father and a French mother, growing up with an overburdens of their love. Her beauty she got from her mother. This beauty attracted attention from a young age, and compounded with her privileged family situation, had the making of a life of many an envious, admiring eye being cast towards her as she grew up. It did not require Moo to wish it so. She just always was at the center of any community. At the time Moo entered high school, She was already so well known that there was not a soul in the school who did not recognize her. Male or female, everyone was attracted to her beauty, her aura, farming. She wielded great influence just by existing. Mu had no need to put her desire into words. Those around her preempted and made sure she had nothing to desire for. Mu does not think this as strange, but as the natural state of things, and does not give it much thought. She was, in effect, the queen bee of her hive. For the first time in her life, however, Mu encounters a person who does not bend to her will. This girl, a transfer student, did nothing to coddle Mu, nor did she show even an inkling of a desire to get in Mu's good graces. She did not treat Mu as special, just as another human being. The girl's actions caused Mu discomfort. Her entourage, as always, sensed this discomfort, and soon bullying of the girl began. So the entourage was not actually the one with the girl, but it was, like we saw in the first one, it was actually the fact that it was Mu's entourage. The girl does not succumb, nor does she cry and apologize, and this causes the bullying to escalate. Mu gives no orders. She does not bring up the girls in conversation. Mu understood, however, that anyone who rebels against her must fall, and that she was undoubtedly the center of the universe. The girl reaches a breaking point, and one day she rams a chair into Mu's face in front of all the other classmates. Mu could not understand, not the pain that she had felt for the first time, nor what was happening. She wailed hideously, and she vomited from the shock. Oh, well, that means that if that green stuff is, it could be symbolic of the fact that, like, the truth, right? Because she vomited, because she was attacked because of what she did. So now all the hourglass stuff is like, oh, well, see, it's like, it's overburdening her. The truth, it's trying to drown her. The beautiful Mu was no longer there, and instead an unrecognizable version of her was exposed to all of her classmates. The revolution is realized, and their small society turns upside down. Mu ends up on the receiving side of all of the terrible bullying, formerly directed at the girl. Mu could not comprehend the situation, nor could she ask anyone for help. She just stopped herself from feeling anything. The girl, newly freed from the bullying, seemed to take absolutely no interest in Mu's predicament, only denying her a single glance. That's a weird way to say deny. In that instant, the anger was lying dormant inside of Mu wells up. There can be no forgiveness for giving her that look. After school, Mu followed the girl and pushes a utility knife inside of her body. So it was out of order, but not even just out of order that I thought it was, but it was the fact that this final one was the beginning and the end, but then it goes to the middle, and then it goes to the end with the final, or MV1. Save information from the following day to MILGRAM. Well, zoom on in. Thank you all so much for watching. I gotta first say, I don't know how much I'm enjoying this. Like, I'm having fun analyzing it and stuff, but it feels like there's some rug pulls coming out that it's like, yeah, let's set up these characters. We've had like 6 years. What was it, like 4 or 5 years, you know, to set them up and other things like that. And now let's completely switch their personalities, right? Let's not even hint at it, right? Let's, like, and then you can be like, well, they did hint at it, but it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, well, it was less vague enough to where technically, retroactively, it is that they did hint at it. But, like there was kind of no inclination or start that Mu was going to, like, apologize. And usually when it comes to, like, a game of deduction, you leave clues and hints for that, especially if the whole point is to analyze and interpret things, right? And it's also one of the weird things of, like, okay, so you started it saying that she was being bullied, but then you give another one where it's like, actually, no, this is a different one. But then you end it where it's like, well, actually, technically what you saw was right, but fucking idiot, didn't think of this, did you? And I don't know, I just... Good storytelling comes from, like, foreshadowing and planning and laying seeds and not just twisting it and being like, oh yeah, well, this character who was good the entire time, not a single hint, they were just that good. You know, despite the fact that we set them up as, like, you know, a fucking moron idiot, but hey, they were just that good. You know, they did all that silly, stupid stuff on purpose. They're a master manipulator. And, I don't know. It's just... I can understand now why so many people have become disappointed with MILGRAM. I mean, I'm not going to stop. It gives me too much fucking money. I mean, actually, no, because I don't get money from these videos at all because of the fucking, shit. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm just... Because it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, please forgive me, I'm sorry. Then we see what actually happened. And then it's like, oh, wow, okay, so this didn't actually happen the way that it did. Right? Okay, that's weird. So, alright, maybe Moo is able to be forgiven. And then it's like, fucking moron. Like, it's like, oh, yeah, she's feeling a little weird. But then it's like, okay, but what if she's, you know, fighting back? And then, like, because the music video is saying that. But then again, it's also like, oh, well, this is from their perspective. But this is, like, the third trial. This is supposed to be like, alright, we're finally figuring out the way that things are. And now it's being visualized to us. Nope, no. The music video isn't the exact truth either. It's still something to be interpreted and other things like that. But here's the fucking ending cards where we tell you everything that happened. Oh, yeah, fucking sorry, too bad. I guess you fell for the fact that she was... I guess you fell for the fact that she was bad after all. Way to go, setting up the whole thing of, like, the VD being like, yeah, oh, I'm sorry. You know, oh, I mean, I didn't mean to, and, like, all this other stuff, and be like, and then having, like, certain dialogue in there being like, oh, I am mean, oh, and then being like, in the end card, like, she knew that this is what would happen, and all this other stuff. I don't know. It just seems very inconsistent, and you can defend it all you want, but, and that's your opinion, but this is my opinion, this is what I believe. I just don't... It's twice in a row that, two women are treated weirdly, but that's not a joke, but that's also it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I just want to give the benefit of the doubt. Never know, because all these people are supposed to be bad or trying to judge if they were bad and other things like that. So yeah, I think. I want to give her a second chance, right? Like, she clearly went through so much, and Warden, or S, was like, oh, well, blah, 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 and then it's like, oh, I think I realize it now, and it's like, okay. It's the one part where, like, therapy actually works. I don't know. I think I'm going to say, initially, guilty as fuck. All of the previous trials, yeah, guilty as fuck. Especially now knowing what we know now. And if we're basing it purely off of the crime that she did and not doing the thing that I've said before where we take who they are now and what they're trying to do now and how they're acting now, I would say, yeah, guilty as fuck. Absolutely. Based purely on the crime, seeing if they can be forgiven or not. No, absolutely not. But may be forgiven if she says sorry, but sorry isn't enough when you kill someone, right? But the breakdown and all this other stuff, and then also like the foreshadowing, actual foreshadowing with like, oh, Haruka and all this other stuff, I don't know. Alright, well, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like down below. I make very little money off of these videos, or anything at all, so if you have disposable income and you want to support a YouTuber that you enjoy, you do not have to. I'm not forcing you whatsoever. I have a Patreon. You can do one-time, like, yearly memberships that are like super fucking big, but then there's also like you know, YouTube memberships where 99 cents a month, not even $1, and you get your name listed, you get recommendation, you get one recommendation, and then the higher up you go, you can have multiple recommendations and other stuff like that. But yeah, also join the Discord. That's free. Discord.gg/DekuPirate. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye. Thank you to the members and patrons, aka the Ultimate Fleet. Saline, Peachy Bun, Sleepy Sheepy, Lolo Bartazal, Finch R, Eminelli, Bell, Lily McMillan, Henri, Shira, Angel313, Andrew Ortega, Ariana Henry, Yoan, Test, Helen, Miles Morales, Buglarka Boggy, Another Dragon, Moonze W, On You, Lind the Vocaloid Nerd ARG, Distar, Leah, Yui Izumi, AT, Chocobo/Chris, Annie, Shen Guang, #1 Ash Bradley fan, Michaela Malone, Gondala, Haruka Sakurai, It's Hope, Mealy, Sin Amon Klein, CEO, Ori, Questionable Decisions, Indami Sochiro, Shali, Purist Failure, Shelly, Joe, Futa Kajiyama, Nami WP, Kaku, Gukan, Mono, Cerulean, Brixie, Undying Flames, Nail, Rookie Go Boom, Pregnant Valentino, Hey, Makoto Kayano, Luca, Lunar Eclipse, Valis, Tivita, Anna Beatrice, Lodikosi Kos, Ariana Scroggins, Zahara Yavuz, Lidit Katrayan, Hania Jankuwaska, Maria Rosales, Saiva, Game Roblox, Catherine Stacy. And now, a very special thank you to the paid tiers, starting with Fresh Pirates, Yui Izumi, Shelly, Angel313, Haruka Sakurai, Flowers, and Amelie. And now for the crewmates, Saline, Makoto Kayano, and Shelly. And finally, an enormous declaration of veneration to the highest paid members, Shelly. If you wish to support me, you can do so through the links in the description down below. You are all a part of the crew, but only some get recognized. You can join for free or become paid through the links in the description down below. It's as low as 99 cents or $2.50 a month. Thank you so much.